The message arrived without punctuation. No apology. No hesitation. You have two choices. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, tying my shoes for work, when my phone vibrated like it was nervous. I remember thinking that was strange, that even objects could sense when something was about to break. Watch me with my coworker, or stay out of my way while I do it tonight. I read it twice, then a third time, slower, as if speed might change the meaning. The room didn't move. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't tighten the way movies lie about. Instead, something quieter happened. A door closed somewhere deep inside me. I typed back one word. Okay. I could almost hear her misinterpret it. Relief, maybe. Arrogance, definitely. She had always confused silence for weakness. She had mistaken my restraint for fear. I put the phone down, finished tying my shoes, left the apartment exactly on time. On the drive to work, I replayed the last 6 months like surveillance footage. The late meetings that never produced results. The sudden privacy. The way she angled her phone away from me like it was a weapon she didn't trust me to see. There was a man in her office. I knew that much. A name that surfaced too often. A laugh she practiced at home but perfected somewhere else. I hadn't asked questions. Questions warn people. Instead, I watched. That evening, when I came home early, she wasn't there. The apartment felt staged, too clean, too intentional. A life paused mid-scene. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway, sweet and invasive, like it wanted credit for what it had helped hide. I sat on the couch and waited. Not for her, for confirmation. My phone buzzed again. A photo this time. Cropped. Careless. A man's wrist. A familiar watch. His wedding ring glinting like a confession he didn't realize he'd made. I zoomed in until the pixels broke apart. Then I smiled, because I finally had something better than anger. I had symmetry. I stood up and walked into the bedroom. Opened the drawer she never checked. Pulled out the envelope I'd prepared weeks ago, long before she thought she was brave. Inside was a name, an address, and a woman who deserved the truth just as much as I did. I sent one last message. I'll be waiting for you. Not as a plea, as a promise. I turned off the lights, locked the door behind me, and stepped into a night that was already rearranging itself around my patience. Because betrayal thinks it's loud. But revenge moves quietly. I didn't rush. That was the first thing that confused them. Her coworker's wife answered the door barefoot, suspicion already living behind her eyes. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't accuse. I simply handed her the truth in pieces. Timestamps, screenshots, patterns she had already felt, but refused to name. She didn't cry. She laughed once. Short, broken. Then she stepped aside and said, "Come in." By the time my wife's car pulled into the driveway hours later, the house was quiet in a way that feels intentional. Not empty. Prepared. We were in the bedroom when the front door opened. The sheets were neat, the lights low, everything deliberate. We weren't touching. That part mattered to me more than it should have. Footsteps. Then her voice, sharp, incredulous. "What are you doing here?" Her coworker appeared behind her, confidence already collapsing under confusion. His eyes moved too fast. Calculating exits. Lies. I stood up slowly. No shouting. No explanations. He stepped forward. Too close. Too loud. "This isn't—" That's when my fist met his jaw. Not wild. Not angry. Accurate. He hit the floor like his body had finally understood the weight of his choices. My wife screamed my name like it was an accusation, like she hadn't been using it as an afterthought for months. I looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't afraid of me. She was afraid of consequences. The other woman spoke before I did. "Now you know," she said calmly, "how it feels." My wife's mouth opened, closed. Words abandoned her the way she'd abandoned honesty. I didn't wait for explanations. They're just stories people tell themselves when the truth is unbearable. I picked up my phone and pressed play. Her voice filled the room. Casual, cruel, confident, You have two choices. She collapsed onto the bed, like gravity had finally chosen her. I leaned in close, not to comfort her, but to make sure she heard me. You were right, I said quietly. I did have a choice. I stepped back, walked to the door. Behind me, something shattered. Maybe a glass, maybe an illusion. I didn't turn around to check. Outside, the night air felt clean, honest, unburdened. I realized then that revenge isn't about pain. It's about precision. I didn't win her back. I didn't need to. What I took from her was far more permanent: control. And as I drove away, I understood something that finally let me sleep. Some people don't deserve closure. They deserve clarity.